This is off of Adam Bolt's EP, Half Empty Full Shade. This is called Letters from India 4.
Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee is rich in music heritage, whether it be bluegrass, country, folk, blues, Americana, or rock and roll. This area has a diverse group of talented musicians. Let's get to know some of the area's top musicians and new rising stars. Okay, we're here with Squibb Suppi. He's with the trio Jones, Squibb, and Suppi.
Yes,
sir. Correct?
Sure.
He lives here in Bristol, Tennessee. Well, Bluff City, actually. Who's counting, right?
Who's counting?
Who's counting? So how old were you when you first started playing guitar?
11 or 12, somewhere in there. I think. Somewhere. It was however old people are whenever it's summer vacation of 5th grade. So.
Ever since I started doing these interviews, it seems to be the median age for
really?
people. It's around 12 years old. They start getting serious with it.
Well, you start feeling all those emotions. Yeah. You know, all those things start. You got to find a place to fit in, and you know, you got to find out who you are and what you do. You know, and the social scene's kind of rough. So yeah, I guess that's when people would start discovering the music.
Did you have family that played music?
None at all.
Yeah.
None at all.
Did you take any lessons?
None at all.
So you're self-taught, correct?
You could say that. I mean, I've had lots of influences. You know, I've had older players through the years who have bestowed more wisdom on me than actual, you know, note for note lesson type things. Showing me the ropes of how the gigs work, and context of guitar in the mix, and just more the mechanics of how it works and the attitudes to have. And I've had a lot of blessings in people bestowing wisdom like that on me through the years. Guys like Billy Crawford, Warner Hodges from Jason and the Scorchers, he's a dear friend. Dan Barrett from Georgia Satellites, and now Homemade Sin is a dear friend. All those guys have given me a lot of wisdom and knowledge through the years, and I'm very thankful for it.
So why did you decide the guitar as an instrument?
I didn't choose guitar, it chose me. It chose me. It totally chose me. I mean, I guess it gave me a voice, if you want to say that. I'm a circus clown and a freak by nature and by birth, so I was at that age, facing, I guess, a real tough question of where's my voice and how do I find it. And the guitar gave me that voice. It chose me. I've been with it ever since. It's my best friend.
Hey, 3 years ago, you, along with Ryan Kendrick, Jake Quillin, Billy Crawford, and Chelsea Constable.
Yes.
You were in a program called The Young Guns.
Yes, we were. That was outstanding. I enjoyed that so much.
How was that experience?
Oh, man, I enjoyed that so much. I really did. I love Ryan Kendrick. I love Jake Quillin. I love what those guys do. I love Chelsea. I've known Chelsea for a long time due to my tenure back at the day at JJ's House of Music, working there when I was, went to work under the table when I was 15, up there at JJ's. And I ran into Chelsea and her dad a lot. And then later, Ryan and Jake, and I just love what all of them do, and it was really cool that Billy put that together for all of us to be able to do that. That was a great venue. We got to turn our amps up a little bit, big room, nice room, and we all got to have a spot, and then we got to jam together, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I really did. That was great. Love to do that again.
That's great. I recently did a session with a young 14-year-old, Sam Colley.
Yeah.
From Johnson City. So what advice would you give him and other young musicians starting out?
Oh, man. okay, I'm just going to transfer some of the wisdom that came to me. I'm not going to alter it. I'm just going to pass it straight along word for word. Warner Hodges told me when I asked him that in my early 20s, he said, play long. And I said, well, elaborate. And he said, just keep playing. Don't ever stop playing. If you just keep playing, everything kind of falls into place. But if you abandon it, then obviously you've broken your path. Just keep playing. It's and on the back of a Chet Atkins record one time, an early Chet Atkins record, I read something to the effect that said, they asked him how he became so good at guitar, and in really short words, Chet said, I fall asleep every night with a guitar in my hands, as I always have. And it's like, when you really start thinking about that, it's like, he literally played until he just fell asleep every night of his life, and that's why he's Chet Atkins. You can't argue with Chet.
The great, right?
The great. Absolute great.
Influences, as you said, was Warner Hodges.
Yes, sir. Dear friend, love Warner.
And you made some cases for him, or a case?
It started. I made him a guitar. Warner actually played this guitar, which I created. It's kind of an amalgam of a home cut body, a parts neck, and an amalgam. But he played this guitar, and when he was passing through town, and he fell in love with it, and he asked if I'd make him one. And I said, yeah. So Warner's guitar was a scratch build, and it was certainly much nicer to look at than this guitar. It had a hidden humbucking pickup underneath the pick guard, but still had the Esquire look. Pick guard was full lizard skin. Headstock was lizard skin. Neck plate was wrapped in lizard skin. Control plate, turquoise knobs. It was a beautiful guitar, finished in a very rare Fender color, desert tan, and that was a scratch build. That was from the ground up built. So I gave that guitar to Warner for the debut of the Bluefields' first album, which the Bluefields is Joe Blanton from Royal Court of China, Dan Baird from Homemade Sin, Satellites, and Warner, and Steve Gorman from Black Crowes was the original drummer. Then Brad Pemberton. And there's been a few drummers, but anyway, I delivered the guitar for their debut show in Nashville, and he fell in love with it, and that was cool. And then years later, I got into case building, road case building, out of necessity, because I don't know if you've ever priced equipment cases, but they're extremely expensive, sometimes more so than the gear they contain. So I just applied my knowledge of wood and how to cut a straight line, and started building road cases. And Warner needed a pedal board case for his pedal train, so I built him a road case, a real heavy-duty road case that he's still using to this day. It's got airline tags all over it, proud to say. And yeah, so I've done a lot of work for Warner and Dan, case work, repairs. I've done a lot of tech work for them. If I'm in town and they're playing, I'll always be on the side of the stage working the guitars for them and making sure everything goes well. I did the Scorchers New Year's Eve anniversary show in Nashville when they had that, and I'm on that DVD. So they're all very closely linked to me, and they're dear friends. Love them dearly.
You have any other influences?
Oh yeah, all the greats. The Kings, B.B., Freddie, and Albert. All the blues guys, Muddy, and all those guys. Jeff Beck is probably one of my top 5 influences, and I recently saw him in Charlotte, which was a bucket list show for me to see. I splurged. I went front row, and I was 25 feet from Jeff Beck, and it was an absolutely religious experience. Nobody really plays like Jeff. He doesn't use a pick, and his technique is very unique. So Jeff Beck's a huge influence. Chet, Danny Gatton, the Telemaster, Roy Buchanan, those guys, they're all huge influences. Really, I take a little bit of influence from everything. I mean, even stuff I don't really like. I mean, I'll find something in everything that talks to me. I mean, and more often than not, it's not even the guitar. I don't listen to guitars. When I'm listening to music, I seldom listen to guitars. I listen to bass, drums, horns, whatever the accompanying instruments are. I don't really listen to the guitars. So more often than not, I'm influenced by a bass groove. I love bass. I'll be influenced by a bass groove or a drum beat or an odd time signature more so than I will, whatever the guitarist was doing or anything like that. But I'll find something in anything to be inspired by, and that's, I think, what makes everybody's style is just the mashed potato of everything that you hear in your entire life. It all somehow creeps in there somewhere, so for good, bad, or indifferent.
You are in a trio called Jones, Squibb, and Suppi.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that group.
Oh, the trio. Okay. The trio started as Jones, Raznick, and Suppi, which was Seth Jones, my best friend, and Ryan Raznick on drums. Seth playing bass, Ryan Raznick on drums. We started that band around 2011, 12, 13. Years get foggy. And we played together for a long time. We did quite a bit of original music. We had a heavily packed cover set of very unorthodox covers. We did a rock trio version of Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles, which, if you're familiar with the song, there's not even a band arrangement. It's all string and horn sections and whatnot. So we came up with a rock arrangement for that, and we did a Blue Oyster Cult and just unorthodox, strange covers that you don't typically hear, in addition to our original music. And the original music, I guess you could classify as 3/4 rock and 1/4 jazz fusion, because Seth and Ryan took the sound in that direction, and Ryan decided to go on, do his own thing, kind of move back to the guitar because he's a multi-instrumentalist, so he wanted to do that for a while. So he went on to do that, which was super cool. And Scott Squibb joined our band playing drums, and I mean, Scott Squibb is the best drummer that I've ever played with. And I've played with a lot of drummers, a lot of really good drummers. Scott Squibb was the most amazing drummer I've ever played with, and he definitely added to our jazz fusion type sound and took the band to a whole other level. And we actually began recording our album, Super Suppi Jam, from Jones, Squibb, and Suppi. That's what a cordless drill through a Les Paul sounds like. Or the sounds in my head. In January 31st of 2017, I believe, is when we started. Again, years get fuzzy. And Scott finished all of his tracks, all original album, all original music. Scott finished all of his tracks. Seth has finished all of his bass tracks and 99% of his vocal tracks. And I'm producing the record. I've been in there working on that. For miscellaneous reasons, it's been delayed, but we're definitely going to finish that up hopefully by the fall and get that out. It'll be released on vinyl, so, and due to the size of it, it'll likely be a double LP. And during all this, Scott had been battling a long-time illness, and we unfortunately lost him. And so we're going to dedicate the album to him and to his family and to the wonderful man that he was and the wonderful friend that he was, because he was an amazing human being that we should all aspire to be on the level of. Great guy, humble guy. man, he could play. So we're going to dedicate the album to Scott. We're going to finish it up. We're going to put it out there so that his beat can live on. But yeah, the trios. So once we get that wrapped up, I guess Seth and I will, I'm not really sure what we'll do. We might find another drummer and do a different thing and kind of move in a new, fresh direction as a new trio. Seth and I are always usually linked somehow. We do a lot of recording sessions locally together. We work with a lot of the local engineers together. And he always gets the bass and vocal call or keyboards, and I always get the guitar call kind of thing. So that's the future of the trio. We're going to finish the album, and then somehow Seth and I are going to get back on stage together, because that's what we always do.
Well, it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm real excited to get the album finished up and get it out there, because it's I'm not sure if they really make a mixing board big enough to mix it. There's so many tracks and so many. It's an immense, massive project. It's unbelievable that it came from a trio. But yeah, it's real exciting. Good stuff. Really looking forward to get that out.
You were also in band Fritz and Company.
I was. I just got done with about a year tenure with Fritz and Company. That was a fun band. Logan Fritz is an excellent songwriter. We made a great album together.
Sweet rock and roll.
We made sweet rock and roll together, and that's exactly what it is. We made sweet rock and roll together. And I'm really proud of this album. I dropped 61 or 62 tracks into these 11 songs. So I'm really proud of this album. It turned out really well. Don Eanes plays keys, and the rest of the guys in Fritz and Co., Tyler and Evan, they did a great job. And again, Logan's songwriting is excellent. It's just a really, really good rock and roll album, and I encourage everybody to get it.
Between sold records made to go. Just I don't know how I live without my sweet rock and roll.
While I was with Fritz and Company, we were contacted by our dear friend Adam Bolt, a local songwriter, to do his EP Half Empty Full Shade. So I did all the lead guitar work on that, and Fritz and Company was the studio band for that, and that was a lot of fun too. We did a lot of really good music on this one as well, versatile music. There's some straight up Bakersfield style country on here. There's like some Dick Dale-esque kind of surf stuff, and then there's, you know, balls to the wall rocking. So this is good too. Check out Adam Bolt. Check out what he does. He makes excellent music. And also, just before I did Bolt's album, I worked on Moose Roberts' album Country Hooker.
Country Hooker. It's a great album.
Oh man,
I have that one.
Oh, it's so good. I don't have a physical copy around here, but Moose is a local treasure. He really is. Moose has been a friend of mine since I was, you know, like I said, those early days at JJ's when I was, you know, 13, 14, 15, hanging around. And Moose has always been good to me, and he makes some excellent music, and he's one of our treasures locally. And I was real honored, along with Seth Jones, to do the Country Hooker album. And I did most all of the guitar work on that, lead guitar work. I think Ryan Kendrick did a slide solo or two, and there's some Ryan Kendrick on there, which was great because, like I said, I love Ryan, so we got to...
Everybody loves Ryan, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, how can you not love Ryan? So we got to have a co-credit together on that album along with my buddy Seth, and it was just really cool. I really enjoyed working with Moose because Moose's music is very unorthodox. It's got so much good and solid early influence. There's a lot of early influence. I mean, you can hear like some real early, you know, bluesy kind of stuff, and just all kinds of early influence in that music, but it's never boring or familiar, you know what I mean? Moose's album really challenged me to come up with some extremely unique parts to fit those songs, and I really enjoyed that. That turned out to be a really good album. I enjoyed that immensely, and I love Moose. I hope he sees this because I love that guy.
I'm
Always
sure he
have.
will see it.
Always have. We go way back.
Have you been working with any other artists in the area?
I have. In the last 2 or 3 months, me and Kelly J started working together. Kelly J is a local artist who does original music as well as her own versions of other artists' music, and she works with a lot of other local artists, you know, with working with them on their projects and vice versa. And she's excellent. She's got a voice that's unbelievably powerful. You'd never believe that it came out of her. I mean, it's just such a huge, massive voice. It just sounds like, you know, huge. It's just a massive voice. And the first time I heard it, I thought, I must make music with Kelly J. So she put an ad out looking for a guitar player and a drummer, and I said, hey, I'll play some guitar for you. So it was me and Seth again. We got Seth in there on bass, and Justin from Folk Soul Revival, who plays drums, who is a phenomenal musician, absolutely incredible musician. Great set of ears, recording, drums, everything, impeccable guy, love him. And he had him on drums, but Justin is very busy right now with the extreme success of Folk Soul Revival, so that project is somewhat on the back burner, I suppose. I'm not real sure. I should probably reach out to Kelly and find out. But we had a few sessions, and I hope that leads to something, because that was a really nice sound. Seth's warm bass blending with her voice was a really nice sound, and I'd really like to get something going with that. So yeah, I've been working with Kelly J lately. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I was contacted by a local recording engineer to do a project for Holston River Brewery, for their upcoming bike rally. I'm not really familiar at all with the details of this project. All I know is that I'm playing lead guitar tomorrow in the studio on a cover of Down on Me by Jackal, which is interesting because I'm actually dear friends with Tom Bettini, the original bass player from Jackal, and we go way back, and it's kind of funny. But what's really unique about this and why this warms my heart is because without knowing it, I took the session. After I took the session, 30 minutes later, I get a message from Ryan, the original drummer from Jones, Rasnick, and Suppi. He cut the rhythm guitar and the drums. So that was like, oh great, you know, so me and Ryan, we're working together again. That's cool. 30 minutes after that, I get a message from Seth where the engineer had contacted him to come in and cut backup vocal and do the bass. So in some kind of strange way, Holston River Brewery's Bike Rally and Jesse James Dupree from Jackal have reunited Jones, Rasnick, and Suppi in the studio. So it's really cool. So I'm doing that for them. Yeah, I'm trying to work with as many artists as I can. If you're an artist and you want to work with somebody, or you know you need some guitar work or production or recording, I do recording here, anything, I'm your guy. I do live, I do studio, I do big solos, or I do one note. Whatever the song needs, I'll do it. You know, it's what you don't play that's important. So I'm always looking to work with new artists. I love being a tool. I love being, some would very much agree with that, I'm sure. I love being a tool for local artists to use. If you're a songwriter or an artist that, you know, you're trying to get the ultimate conception of your song out, you know, I'm here to be a tool in the box for you to use. Logan Fritz gave me one of the highest compliments I ever got on the tracks that I did for Sweet Rock and Roll. He gave me full reign, do whatever I wanted, and I did. Spent a week locked away here doing that. And when he first heard them, he said, "It's like you heard exactly what I wanted in my head without me ever having to tell you." I said, "Man, that's what I do. That's what I do." So, you know, whatever the song needs, I try to serve the song, and I try to serve your song. So if you're an artist, you know, I'm working for you. So if you need somebody, give me a call. I'm out here. I love working with artists. Any genre, any style. I love working with artists.
And like you said earlier, you build guitars and cases.
Okay.
You also built a guitar for a Sweet Rock and Roll album release party.
I did. I did build a guitar for
A beautiful guitar.
for the Sweet Rock and Roll album release. That was what a cool guitar that was. That was a fun project. Barbie started life as a off-the-shelf Jackson SL4X, which they released at the 2018 Winter NAMM show. And they did not look anything like this when they left the factory. It was pink and it did have a white pick guard, but other than that, everything's different. The original hardware is all black, so all of this that is white and pink would be originally black, the tuners and the nut and the bridge and everything else. It obviously doesn't come with any of the hearts or the lovely lady here. That's finished work that I did myself. It's all nitrocellulose lacquer. Did all that. The hardware has been upgraded. It's got a real Floyd Rose on it. And all the hardware was, every single screw, every piece of this guitar of the hardware was sandblasted and Cerakoted by some friends of mine to match the guitar. You know, you've got where it's pink, the screw is pink, and on the white pick guard it's white, and on the tuners it's all blended to match the guitar. And I also did some little bit of surgery on it. It originally had a single coil pickup in the bridge, and I routed it out and put the full-size humbucking pickup in it, along with upgrading the electronics to the EMG setup. So it's definitely not a off-the-shelf guitar. It's got an internal 25 dB mid-boost preamp inside of it, and it runs off of 18 volt. It's a very, the devil's in the details on this guitar. You know, the more you look at it, the more you'll see more detail work. The little blocks in the Floyd match the pink paint. The saddles are white. It's definitely a devil's in the details kind of guitar. But yeah, I made this for the Sweet Rock and Roll album release because I felt like it fit the theme, you know, with the cover and the whole nine. And
I
just a fun guitar. You know, another reason I picked this guitar up is it has a little bit of lineage back to my inspiration I was telling you about, Jeff Beck. In the 80s, Jeff Beck played a Jackson soloist similar to this with the dot inlays opposed to the shark fins, and it had the 3 single coil pickups, and it was this color with this style pickguard. And not many people know about it, but he played it because it was the 80s. And that guitar is named Tina because Tina Turner actually carved her name in it with a nail file.
Oh.
So when he worked with Tina. So, you know, being a huge Jeff Beck fan, when Jackson released this guitar, I was like, oh, that's cool, but I still had to make it my own. So it's kind of a cross between my Jeff Beck influence and also the utility that I needed for that Sweet Rock and Roll album. I needed a full 2-octave range. It's got the 24 frets. I needed to be able to go up with the bar. It's got that. I needed the humbucking pickup and the single coil, so it was built for the utility of that album, and it was very successful. It sounded really good at that show, and it's a fun guitar, and I'll use it for other things. You know, if the Kelly J project takes off, you know, I imagine it'd probably fit real well on her stage, or you know, I don't know, I might show up to a heavy metal gig with it or something. I think it'd be pretty funny. Fun guitar.
Fun guitar. Looks very pretty.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you ever make guitars for just to sell to bands?
I make guitars for other people. I don't sell them. I do a lot of guitar repair. I do a lot of guitar finish work. I've been kind of a somewhat known setup guy for years between my tenure at JJ's and then later at Strings. You know, I'm a full service guitar guy. It's what I eat, sleep, and breathe. But as far as builds go, when I build them, they find their way into other people's hands, but no money is exchanged. I mean, money's a great thing. I'm in debt up to my eyeballs with everything you see around me, but I feel like the pure experience I get from creating these things, I don't want to cloud up with the dirtiness of money. I try to keep them as separated as I can. And that actually costs me an absolute fortune to do, but I sleep easier at night that way, so. Yes, I do build them for other people, but money's never exchanged.
So where do you see yourself from now, 10 years from now?
10 years from now, hopefully still making music. Hopefully I still have this hair.
Maybe not losing any.
Well, so far we're doing all right, but 10 years from now, yeah, I'd hope to be still making music, still working with artists.
Right now, private jet.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. You know, fame and all that money stuff is a cool thing, but I'm just about making good music, you know. As long as I do it for my sanity. I play to stay sane. Again, like I said, I'm a circus freak from birth, and I came from nowhere, and eventually I'll return to where I came. And all in the while, I just want to help people make the best music that they can make by being, again, like I said, an extension for them to use, and also make my own music. You know, I want to finish the Trios album, but I'd like to do something electronic. Jason Vapor does some really cool stuff with the synth modules and all that. My buddy Scott Rader over in Asheville, he does a lot of stuff like that. So I'd like to do something maybe electronic, combining, you know, virtuoso guitar with the electronic sound. You know, I don't know. I'm open to anything. I love all types of music, and I'll find somewhere to get in. So electronic music could be a future thing. I'd like to get me and Seth back on stage together. I always want to be working with artists. As long as I'm playing, I'll be okay, you know. Again, back to what I was saying, I do it for my sanity. So 5 people in front of me or 500, it doesn't matter. I'll give the same show, and I'll give the same performance. I just do it to keep from jumping off a building, to be honest with you. So still playing, like Warner said, play long. So 10 years from now, I assume. And also, you know, it's how I deal with depression. So every amp and every guitar you see is like one time that I got sad. So welcome to the home of tone.
Well, Mr. Suppi, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Appreciate it.